Now let's imagine a scene together. Three different generations of the same family. Three different lives, three different eras, three different pieces of financial advice. And the result? All three generations somehow ended up falling into the very same trap. The elders said, save your money in the bank. The parents said, buy a house, you'll feel secure. And today's world says, invest. Make your money work for you. All of it sounded reasonable. All of it looked safe. But, in reality, every one of these ideas was just a carefully wrapped illusion. Let's start with the oldest generation. Back then, saving money wasn't just seen as wise, it was treated almost like a moral duty. Setting aside a portion of your salary, keeping it safely in your bank account, looking to the future with confidence. These habits were praised by governments, banks, and families alike. Everyone believed in them. But what happened next? When inflation knocked on the door in the 1970s, savers helplessly watched their savings melt away. In the UK, the pound lost nearly half its value within a decade. Families who thought they were safe woke up one morning and realized their money had essentially evaporated. In Italy, the lira kept losing value year after year. Savings held in bank accounts or government bonds disappeared in plain sight. Across Europe and America, inflation quietly drained people's wealth. The elders were neither foolish nor careless. On the contrary, they followed exactly what they were told. But the system had never designed that safe path to be safe for them. Then came the era of the parents. This time the story changed. After the scars left by inflation, a new magical phrase emerged. The best investment is buying a house. Owning a home wasn't just shelter. It was portrayed as securing your future. But here's the problem. The house you live in isn't an income-producing asset. In fact, with mortgage payments, taxes, and maintenance costs, it can easily turn into a money-draining pit. It looks like forced saving, but it also puts people under massive long-term debt. Take Spain, for example. The early 2000s housing boom dazzled everyone. Families took on huge loans hoping for a better life. Then came the 2008 crisis. Home values collapsed overnight. Millions of people were left owing more than their houses were worth. Ireland experienced such a dramatic crash that certain areas turned into ghost towns full of abandoned, unfinished construction projects. In the UK, many families who bought at the 2007 peak needed more than a decade just to break even. The parents weren't irresponsible either. They believed the narrative they were taught. But like the elders, they also realized far too late that the game was never built to protect them. And now, what about you? The advice given today is entirely different. Nobody says save in the bank, and buying a house to live in is no longer presented as the ultimate solution. The new slogan is, don't save, invest. Get into the markets. Markets always rise in the long run. But do they really always rise? Now, the wheel has turned to your generation. Interest rates are low, inflation is high, and banks are portrayed as untrustworthy. The new sacred rule is investment. Stocks, funds, cryptocurrencies, any opportunity that suddenly becomes the next big thing. Social media keeps shouting, don't let your money sit idle, make it grow. So, people rush into markets with hope. Some chase meme stocks dreaming of quick gains. Others throw their savings into crypto claiming the future is here. Some even see digital art and NFTs as opportunities. Yes, a few people made a lot of money, but the majority, just like the elders and the parents, they joined the game too late and ended up losing. The facts are clear. During the 2022 crypto crash, more than $2 trillion vanished in just a few months. Millions of young investors, who thought they were building their future, watched their accounts drop by half or even worse. In Europe, even the supposedly safe retirement funds, marketed for years as low risk, were filled with complex derivatives and came close to collapse. In countries like the Netherlands, well known for their disciplined pension systems, payouts were quietly reduced because returns couldn't meet the promised levels. Across the world, young people experienced the same cycle. They obeyed the rules of the era, Yet the system once again shifted the ground beneath their feet, and here lies the real punchline. The system doesn't change, only the packaging does. The elders were told to save, the parents were told to buy homes, and you are told to invest. 3 different periods, 3 different strategies, but always the same outcome. Wealth flows to the top of the pyramid, while the losses are carried by ordinary people. Every new generation thinks it's playing a completely different game, but the truth is this: the script never changes, only the players do. Looking at the core mechanisms makes this obvious. Inflation is the first trap. It silently steals from wages and savings, preventing most people from moving forward. Bubbles are the second trap. Housing, tech stocks, crypto. They all inflate rapidly, pull in the crowds, then burst, lifting wealth upward while impoverishing those below. Debt is the third trap. Mortgages, student loans, credit cards. They create chains that people struggle to break for years. When these 3 forces combine, the transfer of wealth from the bottom to the top becomes inevitable. History has proven this again and again. In ancient Rome, emperors diluted the silver denarius until it became nearly worthless. While ordinary citizens spent it thinking it was still the same money, the wealthy preserved their power through land and resources. In Weimar, Germany in the 1920s, those who kept their savings in the bank were ruined overnight, while the people who owned factories, farmland, or gold survived the storm almost untouched. After 2008 in Greece, pensioners' incomes were slashed while foreign creditors demanded repayment first. The game is always the same: devalue, inflate, collapse, then seize. Those who blindly follow the rules always lose. But here's what no one says: not everyone lost. During the gold rush, most miners went bankrupt, but the merchants who sold them shovels, tents, and denim got rich. Levi Strauss was born exactly this way. When the Roman economy decayed, those who shifted from money to land and production survived. During the Great Depression, many investors collapsed, but businesses providing basic necessities became stronger. The pattern never changes. The masses believe in easy, safe-looking paths, while a small minority focuses on things that truly produce value. That's why the word asset must be redefined. The house you live in can be considered an asset, but if it doesn't generate income, it doesn't create wealth. Money sitting in the bank isn't wealth if inflation is eroding it. Your retirement fund isn't a true safety net if it depends on complex investments you don't even understand. Real wealth lies in things whose value stays stable, or even grows over time. Skills you can learn, businesses that survive even in crises, assets that generate cash flow. These things don't look glamorous. They don't go viral on social media. But that's exactly what separates winners from losers. Let's return to the story of the 3 generations. The elders' savings were destroyed by inflation. The parents were hurt when the housing bubble burst, after being convinced that a house was an investment. Your generation risks the same fate by believing the fairy tale that markets rise forever, but this isn't destiny. The real mistake isn't following the wrong advice. It's failing to realize that the system was never built to protect you. Even recognizing this truth is freeing. Because once you understand the rules of the game, you can refuse to keep playing the wrong one. History doesn't repeat itself exactly, but the financial system is very good at making people repeat the same mistakes. If you don't break this cycle, one day you'll pass on the same illusions to your own child. But if you learn to build wealth rooted in real value, you step outside this machine. You become someone who builds your own future instead of growing someone else's fortune. That's the real message. Don't let inflation quietly drain you. Don't let your house be your lifelong retirement plan. Don't chase bubbles just because they shine. Focus on things that genuinely produce value, things that stand strong even after the storm. Because when the dust settles, the only ones who still have their wealth and freedom are those who chose this path. If this piece gave you a new perspective, don't forget to follow. The past holds all the answers. Our job is simply to show you where to find them.